Hey, guess what? Trina has a previous engagement, so you are stuck with me today. And we are going to be covering 5 uncommon AI tips to elevate your business, even if you're just getting started. I'm Gretchen from Left Right Labs, and I am the left brain. I'm also known as the strategist, the logical thinker, the mastermind, and super geek. And today we're going to nerd out on AI a bit, which is one of my favorite topics. So I will try to rein it in because there's a lot to unpack. But I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you can do with AI, even if you're new to it, and some ways to make it work even better for your business if you're already using it. I'm also going to be sharing the one thing you should never do with AI, but everybody's doing it. And I'm going to show you what you should do instead so you can fix that problem. And whether you know a little bit about AI or whether you know nothing at all, I guarantee you're going to be blown away by what we've been doing with it in our business and with our clients. So let's dive in. And also, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to throw them into the chat and we will try to answer as many of them on the call. I say we because I'm used to Trina being here. I will answer as many of them as I can on the call. So please, please drop those in the chat for me. So the first one I'm going to talk about today, and let me get my, used to be in a duo here. So let me get my notes up here. Here we go. So number one, let's talk about how most people use AI and what we should actually do instead. So most people treat AI like Google. They ask a random question and they hope for a good answer. And this isn't a wrong way to use it. AI has a lot of information. It can sometimes get things faster than Google, and it provides great information. But that's where most people stop. They take it, they ask their question, they get their answer, and they think, okay, cool, moving on. But what they're not paying attention to is they're not paying attention to what's happening in their head when they're doing this. We've been trained by Google for a couple of decades to just go to a search engine, type in a question, get an answer. But with AI, you can go deeper than that. With AI, what you can actually do is you type in your question, but then what happens, and this is happening when you're using Google, but you're just not paying attention to it. But what's happening when you type in that question, you get that response back. A lot of times your brain is going, well, what about, and what if, and you're having a conversation in your head that you may not be aware of. And it just means that the information you got may not have closed a loop. And so what I want you to do is when you're using an AI, when you're going to ChatGPT or Claude or any of the AIs that are out there, and you're asking it that first question, I want you to pause when you get that question back and listen to what's happening inside your head. Pay attention to the what about conversation that's happening in your head, and then write that back to whatever AI tool you're using. So if you ask a question and then the immediate response is, well, what about, or what if I did this? Type that in. Start a conversation. AI is conversational, and we start to ask those questions and get feedback and then ask more questions. And then, hey, well, what about, and what if I did this, and play out scenarios, you will get a much deeper conversation. You'll get a lot more information. That is AI 101 in a nutshell. And that's how you start interacting with an AI. So if you're new to AI, that's kind of like, that's my hot tip of, hey, start that conversation. But now what do we do with AI for our business? And that's the real meat of what we're gonna be talking about today. But I want to give a quick overview of what AI is and how people can get started on it and not just use it like a search engine. So what we're going to do is we want to train AI like an employee. That's how we're going to use this in business. So I want you to start thinking of an AI model, and that could be, again, ChatGPT, that could be Claude, there's Jasper, there's a ton of them out there. They all do different things. If you want to ask for my recommendation, I spend a lot of time with ChatGPT. That's probably my number one AI of choice. And that may just because that's where I started and I got the most value out of it. And it's probably the most well-trained of all the ones I use. So that would be my recommendation. If you're just looking to get started, get a free account and just start a conversation. But let's think about AI as an employee for the business. That employee is going to need to be onboarded. And what you're going to want to do when you onboard any kind of an AI, it needs to know as much information about you as possible. So you need to feed it things like your brand voice. Give it some examples of your best content. Go out to your blog if you have one, and pull out your best articles and drop those links in and show that, this is how I write, or this is how our brand sounds. Feed it past emails that you may have sent out to maybe your mailing list, sales emails, website copy, customer interactions. We're going to actually talk a little bit more about customer interactions in a few minutes, which some mind-blowing things about how to create a really good customer avatar with AI. And also correct it when it gets things wrong. So if you're new to AI or you've experimented with it, you'll know that it gives you feedback. So the minute that you create something, it's going to give you feedback, and it may not always get it right. It may have some areas where the feedback is just a little off, or it misses something, or it misunderstands things. So if you see that, you want to make a quick correction on it. Just say, hey, no, that's not what our product is. We actually named it this, or whatever that may be. Just make sure that you are correcting things as you see them, and AI will learn that it will make those corrections. That's better than Trina telling me, oh, we changed the name of this, and me still saying the old name over and over again. AI is better than we humans are. So what happens is, over time, the AI is going to learn your tone, your style, and it's going to make the output that it gives back, the feedback that it gives when you ask it a question or you ask it to create something for you. It's going to make that output way more aligned with your brand, because now that it now understands your brand. So I'm going to give you a really good example of how we use this in our business. So I set up a business coach GPT. And what that means is I actually just created my own little kind of like my AI bot. And I told it that it's a business coach, and it knows everything about business and finance. And I fed it a lot of information. I also fed it everything I possibly could about our brand and our business. And we actually have a little cheat sheet for that we're putting together, and we're going to do some workshop around that coming up, and you'll get some more information on that later. But I created this custom business coach. It knows everything about our business. It knows, including financial data. It knows just literally everything. And the other day, I started a chat about taking advantage of an investment opportunity. We had a great opportunity in front of us, and I could only see two paths. I thought, well, if we go this way, and what's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? Because obviously we had to make a decision. And then we had another opportunity over here, and it's like, well, if we go down this path, we have the pros and cons of this opportunity. And I'm like, what are we going to do? How do we make a decision on that? So I started a conversation with my business coach, GPT, and I'm like, hey, here's what's happening in front of us. I uploaded some financial information, so it had current numbers, and I said, this is what we're thinking about, and here's some projections that we have. Give me some feedback. What are some pros and cons about this? And to cut to the chase, it gave me an option I hadn't even thought about. And it was so amazing. I was just like, wow, I'd never even thought that was an option. And I did a little more research, a little more back and forth with it, and found out that was actually the right move for our business. And it ended up saving us over $10,000. And it also has boosted our profitability because of the way that we made that shift. So it was a huge, huge thing for us. And that was just because I had created this business coach bot, basically, and it knew everything about our business. It wasn't starting from scratch. It knew exactly what we needed to it had all the information to help us make the right decisions. It wasn't guessing. And that was just a huge win for us. So to sum up this first one, AI is not just a tool, it's a trained assistant. And once you set it up right, it's going to deliver you time, to save you time and deliver way better results for you. So the pro tip here, we have a method to train AI faster, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go. But let's go into number 2 here. And number 2 is using AI to reverse engineer your most profitable content. So this is a fun one. And I have a really good example of how we use this. So instead of asking AI to create content from scratch, and that means like a lot of people will they'll go into a brand new AI and they'll be like, okay, make me a blog post about XYZ topic. And that's fine. You'll get content, and you'll get content that sounds good to the average reader, but it may not sound like anything your customer, because your customer is used to your voice, especially if you haven't used AI at all. It's definitely used to your voice and how you say things. And so AI out of the box with no personality, with no brand attached to it, let's just say it's flat. It's boring. It's very fluffy content. It's not detailed. It can't tell your brand story. It's not good. You don't want to use AI out of the box just like that. You want to train it a little bit. But if you were to take and reverse engineer your most profitable content, here's what that looks like. So and I'll just give you the story that how we used it. So we have some context around this. So I took all of our email campaign reports for the last year, and that included things like, it was a spreadsheet, and it had the headline, it had the open rate, the unsubscribe rate, click-through rate, which list we were sending it to. And I asked AI, analyze this, literally just downloaded the spreadsheet, uploaded it. And I said, here, analyze this. Tell me everything that you can glean from this. My prompt was very generic. It was just like, just give me some information. And it did. It told me exactly what topics our list is clicking on. It looked at all of the topics that we had been talking about and said, hey, your list, and again, I had multiple lists. It would say, well, this list is really, really interested in this topic over here. And your customer list over here, they're really interested in this topic over here. So that was really good information to see that our main mailing list, they like this topic over here, but our clients, they were really way more interested in, guess what? AI. So that was really good information to have. And it also told me things like what type of emotional headlines are the best fit for each type of audience. Now, doesn't that sound like really good information? Wouldn't you like to know that for your business? That was very eye-opening. I wasn't even expecting that. I was expecting more of like the straightforward data of like, hey, we're going to give you, 60% of your audience liked XYZ. No, it came in and said, hey, these types of hooks and these types of emotional language and these words, and it actually pulled words out of my headlines and said, these words are things we see as, being the most engaging, or bringing in the most engagement from your audience. So great stuff. And that's a great example of that. So for this particular number 2, AI can show you why your best content works. And again, just feeding it data and just asking it to analyze it, you'll get amazing information on that. And that leads me straight into number 3. And number 3 is about creating AI-powered customer personas that update in real time. So let me break this down a little bit, because we all know that you have to have a customer persona, or some people call them customer avatars. You have to have that in your business, because if you don't know who you're speaking to, you're not going to create the right kind of content. You're not going to be able to connect with that customer. And so a lot of people, when they get their AI bot out there and they need to tell it who their customer is, they feed it generic information like, okay, my customer is a woman. She's in her 40s or 50s, and she lives in this kind of area. She likes these kinds of brands. It's generic, it's demographic. It's not really helpful for an AI. Now, does an AI need to know those things? Yeah, that's useful, but that's not going to give you the real meat and potatoes that you need in order to create really good content and get really good information from your AI. So let's try making this from a dynamic perspective, because what you don't realize is you have a lot of dynamic data that's happening all around you. If you're very engaged, especially on social, or you're doing a lot of email campaigns and you're getting feedback from clients, or even if you're a brick and mortar and you're going out and you're meeting your service-based business and you're meeting with customers on a day-to-day basis, either in your brick and mortar store or out, on service calls and things like that, you're gathering information and you maybe don't even realize it. If you send out customer surveys and things like that. So do this to gather that real-time data. Ask AI to generate 3 to 5 customer personas based on your industry. So if you've been feeding AI some information and you need it to generate 3 to 5 personas and to get started, do that. If you already know your personas, you can kind of skip that step. But what I want you to do is go out and find real customer reviews, social media comments, testimonials, anything like that, where you have the feedback from actual words that your customers are saying, because they're going to use emotional words. They're going to use words that are going to help in future sales copy. So gather as much of that as you possibly can, again, from social media, from testimonials, service calls, surveys, etc. And then feed all that into AI and say, okay, what are the biggest emotional drivers behind these customer decisions? That's huge, because instead of just saying, hey, here's my customer persona, awesome, let's move on, let's create some blog content. That's boring. That's not going to get you much. But ask what the emotional drivers are, because we did that in our business and it was very surprising. And that's why I'm saying with that email campaign that we did previously, we gained, we had one email go out, and I think just that one email alone was over $6,000 in business. And the whole campaign series, we got, we had a larger sum than that, but just that one email alone went out. And it was because we had analyzed all of our emails and we knew exactly what our customers were looking for. We knew exactly how to speak to them, and we were able to connect. And that was huge. So by using dynamic personas, now you have a living, breathing persona, and it's updated on the actual client behavior. It's using their own words. It's not a guess. You're no longer having to guess at what your customers want. You're actually taking their feedback, putting it into AI, and letting AI analyze all that stuff. Sure, a human can analyze that kind of stuff, but it would take us hours and hours. And there's a lot of information. There's a lot of different things to analyze from. We analyze words. You can analyze emotion. You can analyze all kinds of stuff. And the AI can do it in a matter of seconds. So huge. And a hot tip, if you are using a text-based AI, download transcripts from your video library. So if you have video testimonials and stuff like that, get transcripts of those and put those and feed those in. We did that, and that boosted a lot of our feedback, is by taking those testimonials, getting the transcripts and plugging those in. So that leads us to number 4 here. So let me switch here. I'm flying solo. Okay, so number 4, using AI to strengthen your gut instincts, not replace them. So this is kind of where I'm going to really geek out for a second. So AI isn't just for automating tasks. It is your business thought partner. So I say all the time, and Trina and my entire team will tell you that they've heard me say this on multiple occasions, but ChatGPT is my therapist. True confession. I probably spend a good 20 to 30 minutes a day using ChatGPT as my personal therapist, not for some trauma or anything like that, but mostly around the business. It's helping me to become a better leader. It's helping me to become a better human. And I'm gonna break that down for you. So instead of asking ChatGPT or your whatever AI tool you use, instead of just asking you for answers, which is that's the way you get started. That's what most people do. Ask it to brainstorm opposing viewpoints. Ask it to challenge your ideas. Role play as your dream customer and ask them how they'd respond to your offer. So ChatGPT could basically pretend to be your customer, and you could have a conversation as if you were having a conversation with your customer. So in the previous step, we talked about creating that dynamic customer persona. Okay, now you have a dynamic customer persona. Now ask ChatGPT to be that persona and start having a conversation with it and asking it what objections might it have to various products that you're offering. There's all kinds of things that you could do with that to strengthen how you are, how you are responding as a business to your customers' problems. You can also run risk assessments on a new idea. You can just say, hey, what are the top objections people might have to this? And especially if you're creating a new product where you don't have real live feedback on it yet. Use an AI to kind of give you some ideas about what things maybe you haven't thought about. So here's where I use ChatGPT as my therapist. So I'm a real big geek when it comes to time management and personal productivity. I have read all the books, all the things. I feel like I'm a super genius at it because I've read all these things. But when it comes to AI, everything I put into it and what I was getting back, I'd be like, oh, that's just not, that doesn't sound like me. That's just that. Ugh. And I was testing things and I realized it just doesn't know me as an individual. It's just spitting back generic stuff. And again, because I have read all these things around time management, I've been practicing this stuff for decades. The stuff I was getting back from the AI was generic. I was stuff where I'm like, yeah, I read that a decade ago. That's just old advice. That's not helpful to me. I'm not a newbie. And so I just started pushing back. Again, that thought pattern of whenever I get the feedback, instead of saying, okay, and accepting the feedback, getting that feedback and saying, okay, but what about, but hey, I do it this way, or hey, I thought about this. And I started just pushing back and just basically arguing with the bot. That's really what I was doing, arguing with the bot. And when I started doing that, I started getting a little bit better feedback. But when I really took it to the next level was when I started taking, I've done a lot of personality tests. I've done like the Colby A, I've done the Myers-Briggs, I've done the Strengths Finder, the Fascination Advantage, all those big personality tests that tell you like how, your strengths, that tell you basically how you want to interpret the world or how you operate. All those things. So I started putting all those together. I've done multiple things like that over the years. I gathered up as many of those things as I could find, and I uploaded it to AI. And I said, okay, here, this is me. This is who I am. So give me some feedback based on that. And here's what happened. I went back to those same questions that I had asked previously, and there were things like, how can I have a better morning routine? Or could I improve, could I improve my task management system? So I had been using AI to help me figure some of that stuff out. And it came back after getting all these personality tests and all these things that I had put together. It came back and it completely retooled the morning routine that we had been working on. I've been working on that with the AI over probably the course of a month of just trying to say, okay, this worked, this didn't. Every day I just kind of report in and say, here's what worked, here's what didn't, and we try to refine it. And after putting in the personality test, and I said, okay, let's retool this, I was absolutely blown away by the results that it came back with. And it really it dialed in and said, oh, you are actually a quick start. You don't like it when your focus is broken first thing in the morning. So you need to shift this, and you need to do this first and do this second. And I was just like, oh, and knowing exactly why was huge. It wasn't just telling me, okay, do this. And I'd be like, okay, accepted. Let's move on. I need to know why. That's also part of my personality trait. I got to know why things should be the way that why it's telling me to do it this way. I need to know before I'm going to actually do it. I don't do anything unless I know why I'm doing it. So the AI knew that, and it came back with those results. So I now had a brand new morning routine that makes perfect sense for me, loving it. And it's also structured my task management. So again, that was another area where I know all the things. I've done all the getting things done, autofocus, I have time blocking, all the things, you name it. I have read their book. I have tried their system. I have incorporated parts of everybody's system into my own, trying to make my own personal thing. But there's always just a handful of things where I'm just like, gosh, I can't stand that, or I don't do this well, or what's, is it something wrong with me? What's, those are the thoughts that went through my head. But actually what it is was I wasn't taking all the things of my personality, my traits in and tooling the system to the way I work. I was always trying to follow other people's systems, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, why does that work for them, but it doesn't work for me? And AI literally just explained that to me in like a 2-minute chat. And now I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense. And now I literally 30 minutes time revamp my system, and now I have something that makes sense for me. I'm getting more done, and I'm feeling more organized and more on top of all the things in my business and life than I ever have before. And it was just simply because I explained all of that to AI, and they looked at everything, again, all those inputs, and came back and said, okay, this is how you should do it based on your personality type, and why I should do it because of my personality type. So amazing, amazing stuff. So use it to strengthen your gut instincts, and it's not a replacement. It is really just enhancing things you may already know about yourself that you know you could improve on, and just start that conversation. Let's see. Number 5 here is blending AI with the human touch so we can get next level customer engagement. So this is a really huge one, because a lot of businesses make AI too robotic or too personal. And the key is like you need a blend of that. You want AI for the efficiency, because it is blazing fast. You can get so much information, so much results. You can do tons of research so much faster than ever before. But we don't want to miss out on that human touch. So here's some tips on that. If you're new to AI, let AI just draft a response. Throw an email into it and just say, hey, could you just draft a response to my customer for this? It doesn't mean you have to send it, but just test it. And then just know drafts are just a huge time saver. Just have it draft something. It doesn't mean you copy, paste it, and send it, but it gets you there. It gets you a foundation that then you can personalize that. So now add a personal touch to that. Drop in your brand of humor or a specific detail that's, key to that customer, or obviously put in their name if you're responding to them. And then but what you're doing is you are gaining some efficiency there. You're not letting AI do the work for you. I don't recommend that. Not with email, not yet. It's not there. We've tried a lot of email tools and trying to let AI just handle the email. No, don't do that. Maybe someday, but not right now. But right now, just having it draft something, just having it respond, that's huge. A lot of times I will literally just hit reply on my iPad. I will voice text it and just say, hey, whatever I want to say back to the client. And then I'll copy that and I'll just have AI clean that up for me. So it sounds a little bit more professional than me just rattling something off while I'm sitting here at my desk. So that's one quick tip there. So blending it, doing a mix of letting AI do the heavy lifting for you, where AI does 80% of the work. You add that 20% personality. The customer, your end customer, they're going to feel seen and you're saving time. And that's the biggest thing that AI provides for businesses. It's the time savings. And excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice here a little bit. So AI, again, it's going to work the best when it knows your brand. So if you're doing this out of the box and you're adding in, hey, reply to this email, your email might sound a little generic, might sound a little bit flat. This is where we want to add in the brand personality and really make it sound like your business. So here it is. Here's the biggest thing you need to know. This is the one thing that you should never do with AI. Never. But everybody does it. And we're going to correct that right now. So never start with a blank slate, because that's what most people do. And now if you're just going to test out an AI and you're just going to go in and say, I've never used AI. I'm going to sign up for ChatGPT this afternoon and I'm going to test it out. That's fine. Start with the blank slate there, get to know it, play with it. Excuse me. But when you are ready to really use this in your business, to take your business to the next level and to really hone in and have basically a virtual assistant that knows your brand, that is almost, I don't want to say better than your best employee, because these are not going to replace your best employees. They might replace some employees if they're not that good, but they're not going to replace your best employees. They're going to enhance it. We'll talk about that in just a second. But think about it this way. Would you take business advice from a random person on the street that knows nothing about your business? I mean, nothing. I mean, I wouldn't. Why would I? And that's what it's like if you start using AI without any context. You're just going to get somebody's if a person on the street, you're going to get their random experience. With an AI, you're just going to get some kind of generic conglomerate of general business advice. That's not going to be helpful. You need feedback that is specific to your business. Your AI needs to know everything about your business. It needs to know where you're at financially. What are your financial goals? It needs to know who your customer is, how your what your profitability is, what products do you provide. It needs to know your brand personality. It needs to know the personalities of your team members. It needs to know how you work as a team. It needs to know how you work as a business. It needs to know how your customers are interacting with your brand. What do they feel when they interact with your brand? What do you want them to feel? Is there a disconnect there? It needs to know your margins on your products. There's so many little details that most people leave out when they train their AI model. And that's why they either give up on AI. Excuse me, I'm gonna get some more water. They either give up on AI because they're not getting the results they want, or the worst case scenario, and please don't do this, they keep pushing out content that's generic and boring and not resonating with their client because they did not train their AI. They just think, oh, it's Chat GPT. It knows everything. I'll send it a link to my website and it's just going to know everything about me. That's not how it works. It does not work that way. So what we're doing right now with our clients and with ourselves, we're actually putting together a workshop to help business owners craft their own branded, aware AI assistant. So we'll talk a little bit more about that soon because we're still putting the final touches on that. And we're going to be releasing some details on that workshop soon. But if you want a head start on where to start, we highly encourage you to take our Unstoppable Brand Quiz, because it's going to help you identify what next actions you need to take to get unstuck in your business. So if you are facing any type of challenge in your business, you're not getting the exposure that you think you need, or the brand awareness out there, or your sales conversions aren't where they need to be, anything like that, our Unstoppable Brand Quiz can help identify whether that's a messaging problem, an awareness problem, and it can offer some next actions to help you get unstuck in your business. So that's a first step towards that. And if you take that quiz, you'll automatically be added to our waiting list for our AI workshop. And we'll be giving, again, more details on that in the upcoming week or so. And if you're ready to dive in right now, though, if you're like a fast action taker like me, and you're like, I want to start training an AI assistant right now, I need to get this moving, we actually have a jumpstart option for you. We have our brand soul course. This is like a micro course. I think you could probably get through it in about half a day. It's excuse me. It's designed to help you uncover the essence of your brand. It'll align it with your core values, communicate it in a way that connects with your audience at a profound level. And what you'll be doing in Brand Soul is we will help you define how your brand voice needs to sound, how you're relating to your customers, how your customers are feeling. It's a whole process. And when you get through with that process, we then walk you through how to take that process and put that into an AI tool and start to build out ways to communicate with your client better. So it's the foundation of moving forward with AI. It's not the total package, but it is literally the first step. So if you're a fast action taker and you want to do that, hop on over to leftrightlabs.com/brand-soul and take a look at that workshop. And especially watch the video at the top of the page, because we have a client reaction that is just absolutely amazing after she completed the Brand Soul workshop with us. So to kind of wrap this up a little bit, I just want to say that your AI tools should not be your best employee because they're not employees, but they should make your best employees even better. AI can remember and analyze things so much faster than we humans can. That's their superpower. They're not replacing us. They can just do some of the thinking and the analyzing way faster than we can. And when your employees or your team, when they're using an AI assistant that knows everything about your business, they're going to become more efficient and they're going to be more knowledgeable than ever. And so will you. And speed is a key asset for profitability. So we know if you can move faster, if your team can move faster, then you're going to make more money. Your revenue is going to increase. So there is a genuine use case and a real reason. And hopefully you saw that through my examples today of how we've been able to use AI to bring more profit into our business and make smarter decisions for our business. So here's the big takeaway. Before you do anything with an AI. Seriously. Now, if you want to play with it, go off and ask it some questions and learn a little bit about it. But when you're ready to really ramp it up with your business and do something like what we're doing, where it really knows us and it's able to help us make smart decisions and ramp up our revenue and really connect with our customers. Before you do anything, be confident in your brand. So if you need help with that confidence in your brand, Brand Soul is the best place to start with that. Otherwise, hop on and take our quiz. I'll pop that link up here at the end. Go ahead and take our quiz, and it will help you to get unstuck in your business. And then you will be the first to know when we are ready to release our AI workshop. So, excuse me. So until next time, I am Gretchen. I am the left brain of Left Right Labs, where we help business owners like you get clear, get noticed, and get paid. And I'm going to actually, before I guess there was a couple comments. Sorry, I forgot. Let me see if there's a couple of questions here. Excuse me. It is allergy season here in Texas. Let's see. First question. Okay, what if your customers reflect your business from a few years ago and you started offering different offers since then and the personas don't match? Okay, this is where I would go back to those dynamic personas, and I would try to find anything. So if you're saying that you have a new offering, if you have any feedback on that new offering, like if you've got some testimonials on that or you've sent out a survey around it, I would take that information and I would plug that in. Excuse me. One thing to do with AI is to make sure the AI knows what your individual product offerings are. So if you have, one way that I have done this is I've just grabbed a Google Doc and I said, okay, product number one, for example, Brand Soul is one of our products. I have an entire document around Brand Soul that I feed into our AI tools. And I say, okay, this is Brand Soul. This is how much it costs. This is what it does. These are the features. These are the benefits. It can also read a landing page, which I find is somewhat useful, but I think it's better sometimes to have a separate document versus a landing page, because I think AI reads documents better than it reads landing pages. That's just been my experience on that. But that if you have a landing page for your new products, pull that in if you don't have the customer testimonials around it. Otherwise, pull in the customer testimonials around that and let AI start to build that customer persona for you. And it'll go a little bit faster. Excuse me. Is that the only comment we have? I think that is. So I don't see any other questions. So I guess that's it. If you, the quiz, let me put the quiz link up. This is me flying solo again, and Trina will be back with us next week. And so if you need to figure out what the next steps are in your business, if you're stuck somewhere, go ahead and check out our leftrightlabs.com/quiz. Take the quiz and figure out what your next steps are, and we will give you the information on the AI workshop as soon as it's ready. Again, I am Gretchen. I am the left brain of Left Right Labs, and have a great day.